What's up, guys? And welcome back to another Cruising with Crab. Buckle up. You are along for the ride. I want to talk about, I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos. School is not for everyone. It's not. And I talked about that in one of my videos, how I went to college. I took about a year and a half off after high school. Even the whole school system, guys, like I did it and I wasn't, this the way even high school, elementary, it just I don't know. It just felt like something that I couldn't wait to be done with, right? And I and my escapisms for those things were video games for sure. Right? I could have been doing other things, but that's okay. I really learned about how my mind works through all this, right? Obviously, I didn't have the physique that I have now, but that's okay because it all worked out. It all worked out. I could have been the way I could. I mean, in reality, I mean, this is because I'm saying this right now, but I could have had an amazing physique, and then I would have never really discovered how my mind works. I could have been a typical basic person, boring, no personality, only good at sports. And again, I'm not trying to attack people. Again, this is just my awareness. I just find so many people, and I mentioned this in a video before. How there's a sport for everybody, guys. I'm more of a solo sport guy. I mean, I love but I still like the team aspect. But even when I played video games, I had that problem. There's just people who are they just ruin the fun, man. When you do solo stuff, like you work out, you can do it with friends, have someone spot for you and stuff. But I love doing things on my own time. It's no different with my videos. It's all solo. But I don't like being a loner all the time. Like I have my friends who I mentioned, my sister, my one good friend who I mentioned, who I met on PlayStation 3 back in the day, and now we live in the same bloody town. It's freaking crazy. Oh, I will say this. I should have said this in my last video. I went to this burger place that's in Canada, and it's known. It's the top. It's the in the top 20 best burger places in the entire world. They've been ranked that, and this place is really close to where I live. I was walking with my sister, and I was telling her because we were heading there, and we just got back over there for a little vacation. It was just my sister's birthday, and as I'm going there, I was talking about my buddy who I just mentioned who I met on PlayStation. I was like, "Yeah, he mentioned this place," and then sure enough, I get a message right away from him within like 10 seconds. I just obviously I knew we were going there like the next day before we were leaving this place, and then he sent me a message and he just had his baby with his wife, and that I thought was pretty interesting. And I just sent him a screenshot. I sent him a picture of me going, dude, it's so funny that you even messaged me because look. But again, guys, we're all connected. Awareness, just like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I mentioned that before. You can think about a friend and boom. But anyways, let's get back to what I'm talking about. Why school is not for everyone. We all think differently, guys. Yes, we have our own human experience. I have a voice. We all have a voice. I know I have a very good presence on camera. I've been told that for a long time. But the one thing about college, and I mentioned this before, is how I did a radio show when I was taking my program, which had nothing to do of what I'm doing right now. Had absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. It was the most randomest thing I've ever did when I was taking this program. I remember people going like, why are you doing radio if you're taking this program? But again, I went to school because, again, it's nothing against my parents on this, but they thought this is, hey, you're in school, you get something, right? But that's their generation, and I don't hate them for that. I'm glad I did do it. It was a very tough thing. There was a lot of sweat and tears, I'm not gonna lie, from my part, and it was tough. And also I was in a lot of group projects and stuff. So that, again, group projects, it all makes sense, right? I prefer doing things solo, which I think a lot of people in that situation would, right? Because it's a group project, it's a group mark. So you got people who don't do well, you don't do, and I struggled. I was also working a lot. I had it was tough. I had some people who I was with a lot of. I was one of the only guys in that program, and it was tough. And I'm not bashing women for this because I love women. Women are amazing in many aspects. Most people I trust are women. I have very few guy friends. It's just how it is for me. But I went through school, and so I took my. I'll tell you what I took. Actually, it was I was at a local college. It was called. They changed the name, but it was like hospitality, travel and tourism management or something. I think I butchered the name completely, but now it's like a total different thing. They had a lot of they had a lot of culinary in it, so a lot of people didn't like it. 'Cause I wasn't. Listen, I like cooking. It's not my dream to be a cook. There are amazing people who have been successful, obviously, with it, and that's great because cooking is an art, guys. It really is. People think it's just you're cooking food. Oh, God, no, it's not. Like those meals that I have from Factor that I get, incredible meals. They make all my meals for me. That helps so much with my life. I hardly even have to go in the kitchen anymore. It's just so easy, right? It's I just put it in the microwave or I can put it in the oven. It takes me 2 to 3 minutes, and yeah, it's incredible. You pay pretty much a little bit more than you would with actual grocery shopping, but that's fine. Like you get a good enjoyment out of it. And yeah, you pay a little bit more, but again, it's for me, it's amazing. And also too, to keep this weight that I have, because after like I put on over 65 pounds, it helps me manage the weight that I'm at. So maintenance is great for that. So it taught me a lot of things. It definitely helped me appreciate cooking more. There was a lot of stuff that was not in the kitchen, but they emphasized so much of the kitchen. But I get it because the person at the time, I'm not going to say names, but the head coordinator of that program, they wanted, if you were a manager like at a hotel, because this is where they trap you. Because I'm telling you guys, and I had a really good professor. Again, I'm not going to say who this person is, and it's not that I hate them. I do not even dislike them. I respect them because they were so honest. They would say like, "Hey guys," and I'm not saying this person's name because I do not want to get this person in trouble because this person I respect so much, and this person knows that. I'm not even saying it's a he or a she. I'm not even saying who, and I'm not even saying what year this was. For all measures, I don't want people knowing that, but this person literally told me and was so blunt. At the time, I took it too personal. I'm like, "What are you talking about? Put all this money." It's like, I want to do this. This person knew I did not want to be in that program. This person looked at me. It's hey, and they were trying to. They knew deep down that I just didn't want to do it. They could tell that I was forced into it, as I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right now, it's just such a different world, right, in a lot of aspects. Then you got my good friend who I met on PlayStation and stuff, who I talked to. You know, he went to school. He did the whole school thing, but he's like, dude, like you do what you got to do. And he's always been. I've always respected this person as my friend. But this professor, getting back to this professor, I respect them. I respect them very, very much because they, even though at the time I didn't fully understand it, after realizing like who I am with this new self that I am, everything unfolded perfectly. But like I said, and I was probably about 2.5 years this program was. You also have to take general education courses, the Jet Ed, besides your actual course. And I actually ended up having to like split it up because it just was too much for me. I was working a lot on top of that, and I was trying to commute. My school commuting wasn't that bad, but I would work super late, and I had to be up at like 4:30 in the morning. Had a horrible diet. You know, I'm still dealing with insecurity at this time, right? This was a long time ago, by the way, guys. Well over a decade, so it's fine to talk about. And I just hated it though. I was miserable. Like I said, a lot of sweat and tears. Still had a lot of anger problems, you know. And like I said, what got me through it was playing video games. But the problem was, I'd be in class, I'd be thinking about video games all the time. But what helped me a lot was last year and a half, I did my radio show at the campus. There are two campuses, and that was awesome. I here's the thing: I put more effort into that, so it sucked because I was also in a group project, and a lot of the people, I did my work, but I just couldn't keep up. I was trying to do too much too much at once, so I let people down in that sense. You know, and some of them, it wasn't the right thing to do. Uh, but I remember like I didn't know who I was. I really didn't. But that radio show gave me like a voice. So I had a lot more people I would talk to, and I had guests come on. I did a whole like episode about like Dragon Ball Z, and I did really well. And I remember I was still insecure about certain things. I dressed, I had my style. I used to wear like suspenders and a bow tie all the time. But I interviewed a lot of people, and I did do a bit of YouTube. I got rid of those videos though because they were like these. I used to do interviews with people, but I didn't like them as much because it just wasn't me. I was trying to be like somebody on YouTube, and it wasn't me. And I just couldn't watch those videos anymore. I don't even think I kept them as a document just to look at in the future, but they just weren't working for me. So I got rid of them. I also, when I was doing my Jet courses, I actually enjoyed those more from doing my actual program. Again, I did a whole course about gardens and stuff because you just needed, all the good ones were gone, I guess you could say. I took one about parenting, like baby stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, like I know how to look after a kid now. It was like literature for babies, like not because like I couldn't write or anything, but it's just for like literature for like children and stuff, how you can help kids out and things. So I took that, but I just needed the credit. And then, and most of my courses that were Jet Eds, I actually did them at home. I had my computer in my room. There's a lot more work if you're doing things that are like homeschool. It was like homeschool in a sense. And all my professors lived out in BC. So it was like we had a bit of a time difference, but I actually really enjoyed it. Also, I didn't have to worry about going to the campus. And this was more like in the last half, and I was still doing my radio show too. And you can only be doing this radio show if you were a student, right? So like I said, I should have probably dropped out, but that's what the radio show got me through it. However, I look back and the more I see it, I was like, damn, like I was good at this. I was very good at this. And I'm also third generation in my family that does radio or podcasts, you can call it now. My grandfather, who I didn't actually get to meet, unfortunately, he was a Scorpio. I know his spirit knows about this channel, and he does watch me when he can. And this is my belief system. And I know right now, right? He hears my thoughts, and if I can visualize him, because I've seen pictures of him, he's connected to me. So my grandfather got my dad into it. I think my dad got inspired by his dad, and my dad did radio for a long time. And yeah, so I'm third generation. It's pretty cool to see it in that sense. And it's crazy how the media has changed now. We used to have a really big music show here where I live in Canada called Much Music. My sister was obsessed with it. And my sister and I have always said this too, like if YouTube didn't exist and Much Music was still around, my sister would have been a Much Music VJ. She would have been perfect at that job. But I remember when I had my radio show, kind of, I know I'm going all over the place here, because like I said, guys, there'd be days I'd be in the kitchen. I was like, I can't wait. And then I would be like, I can get home. I can play video games tonight. Oh, I got my radio show coming. And I remember I was doing my radio show. I wasn't even gaming that much, right? So like I said, I went through that a lot of cycles with gaming where I was addicted to it, then I wasn't addicted to it. And it was wild. Like I went through so many little things in my life that the more I think about it, like everything worked out so well because I actually got my hands dirty and say, okay, can I do this? Can I do that or not, or do this or whatever, right? So it's like there was something beautiful that came out of it for sure, right? Definitely knowing more about myself. And this is before my spiritual awakening, which I talked about in my last videos that you probably would have seen before uploading the one I did before this and all that. But it's, everything worked out. And I'm very thankful that it went that way. Again, it's get rid of the time factor, guys. Don't be like, oh my God, I'm this age. I only have 15 more years. You got to stop thinking like that. Got to stop thinking like that. It's going to seem like it's torture for your soul. And like I said, guys, you're going to have days where you're going to feel like crap. And you just got to ignore it, man. It's no different when you are trying to improve your body and be like, nope, I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm doing my workout. You don't care. You're going to still do it. All right. Have that mentality. Just don't be like, I have to get to May 15th. Don't do what I did when I kept putting the time factor in there. But again, like I said, it's great that I went through that in a sense, because I can tell you guys not to worry about doing that now. Right. So there's that message here. And that's another thing too, guys. All these things that I went through life, all in my past or whatever you can call it, it's helped me make content for this channel. right? So my advice, if you guys are going to school and you're forced to go to school for a program, do not do it. Please do not do it. But again, something beautiful could come out of it, right? I think a lot of people will go to school and it's not even what they were planning to do. And like I said, to that shout out to that amazing professor. Um, I respect them for what they did, being honest with me. And obviously, at the time, it's funny when I graduated too, guys. Like I said, I actually finished the course. Many people had dropped out because they hated the culinary part. But I got a lot of respect out of it. I actually really appreciated Gordon Ramsay, started watching Hell's Kitchen, Hotel Hell, all this stuff. So, that was the fun aspect out of it. And obviously, I had the radio show, had people to interview. I had my cousin that went on there, who was my very first guest, and he was actually like, I did all my shows that mostly I was doing when I had people come on. It was a lot about music. I had my sister come on, like my cousin who I had come on, Adam. He was a drummer in a metal band, and he wanted to get into it professionally. And he left the band, he started a family, all that stuff. He's doing well for himself. But he was an awesome guest to have on. He really helped me have that confidence. Obviously, we're family, so that really helped a lot. So, Adam, thank you, my friend. That means a lot to me, man. And that you've really helped me build that confidence so much. I hope you realize that, man. So, thank you. I really do appreciate that. But anyway, what are we at right now? I might have to make a part 2 to this or something with the radio stuff, because that was some really cool content. And I wish I had the files. I even had my dad come on, and my dad was in the media, and my dad did not want me getting into it. You got to realize, guys, this is where I should leave it at. Media now, when you're doing things like YouTube, or you're doing things like my sister when she goes on to like a red carpet or like a junction kind of interview. If anyone that watched my sister, which I know a lot of my subscribers came from you guys originally, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of things that it's just a lot of the fun parts are gone. Like my dad, that's another great story I can get into. Like my dad, when I was a little kid, we used to get like free tickets to go to basketball games, which watched the Toronto Raptors a lot. We used to go to a place called Canada's Wonderland. We used to go on media day. There was a ride we got to ride called the Fly, and we're the very first people. My sister and I, my brother, I think my mom too, my dad, we all rode it, and we were the very first people to actually ride it, besides the people that built it and such, a part of Wonderland. So that is pretty cool, because I think that ride's still there. So I always go, damn, that's really neat. But guys, school, like I said, you never know. It can really open doors for certain things, or and it may seem horrible, because I remember, like I said, I got my diploma. I was so happy to just get off that stage, go home. I just was so relieved. And then the funny thing was, I was like, do I start applying now? And I didn't want to do it. I told them, like, guys, I got my diploma. Or whatever it was, degree. I don't even know if it was a degree, but it was something, right? It was like a 2.5-year program. And then my dad and my sister, because my dad was already helping my sister, they did road trips a lot, right, together. And my dad's like, well, maybe you could help Brittany out with filming. This was my dad's idea. Again, and the Cruising with Crab name, guys, was originally from my radio show. That's actually a shout out to my dad. My dad's the one who created the name Cruising with Crab. So big thanks to my dad there. Thank you. But Brittany, I started helping her out with filming, and this is after college. And then we started traveling, and I had a lot of fun with it, because I was like, okay, cool. I can do camera work. I can help my sister out. And I also have another job that I still do, and it's just a job that I use for income, right? So and again, I'm doing my YouTube a lot of my free time. So I still have a life, and like I said, want to get back into martial arts, all that stuff. Originally want to get back into golfing. So like things have opened and developed for me, and it's, like I said, everything worked out beautifully. And I don't let those doubts come in going, oh, it was a waste of time. Because if I let that come in, guess what? It was a waste of time, and that will be my reality. Right. So like I said, guys, you can change your past, if you want to call it that. You can actually go back in there and say, no, I got along with this person, or this thing never happened. You just revise it, but then you might see it in your 3D, and it's the 3D. Like, imagine you run back into that person from all those years ago, and you start thinking about those thoughts. Oh, what a piece of shit that person was. And even if you somehow lash at them, you still got to say to yourself, nope, that we've been best friends. You can do whatever you want, guys. It's simple as that. But yeah, guys, this is my whole school story. and this is the great stuff that did come out of it. And it wasn't all culinary. There was other stuff involving with it, but yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next ride. Peace out.